The story begins in 1944, during World War II, in a time of great turmoil and chaos everywhere. Explosions shook the entire area, echoing as far as the Pacific Ocean. During these events, we are introduced to a naval commander in the U.S. Army named Elias. His unit was subjected to a fierce attack by Japanese soldiers, and their mission ultimately failed. Sadly, all their equipment was destroyed, and many of his men died, but Elias miraculously managed to escape. After some time, he finds himself drifting alone in the middle of the ocean on a raft. His situation is dire, and he has no idea how he will reach land. He spends days in this state, growing increasingly weak from hunger and thirst. In desperation, he tries to determine his exact location to survive, and by chance, he spots an island not far away. He can't believe he has finally found land and paddles toward it, hoping to find someone who can help him. As soon as he secures the raft, he runs toward the island and begins searching for anyone who might be there. He is overjoyed to find a river, where he throws himself on the ground and drinks greedily, overwhelmed by thirst. After resting for a while, he gets up and starts exploring the island in search of any sign of life. He discovers that the island has everything necessary for living, but there isn't a single person on it. As he walks deeper into the island, he comes across a very old church. He takes a deep breath, hoping to find someone inside. Suddenly, a nun named Angel comes out of the church to clean the entrance. She panics when she sees a strange man standing nearby, staring at her. Realizing she is scared, Elias tries his best to calm her and assures her he means no harm. He explains that he is a soldier in the U.S. Army and is surprised to find her living alone in such a desolate place. After a while, she offers to let him into the church to rest and prepares food for him once she is sure he isn't a threat. Elias tries to help her and becomes very curious about her, asking, "What are you doing here?" She begins to share her strange story. She tells him she came to the island with a priest to rescue elderly monks living there from the Japanese forces. Unfortunately, by the time they arrived, it was too late. The Japanese army had already captured the monks. Over time, the priest who came with her died of illness, leaving her alone and unsure of what to do. Her family believed she was taken prisoner by the Japanese and never searched for her, so she tried to adapt to her new reality and survive alone rather than give in to death. Elias is deeply moved by her story and, in turn, shares what happened to him, how his unit was ambushed during a mission, how most of them were killed, and how all their equipment was destroyed. He barely survived and made it to the island. Later, Elias decides to get some sleep. He wakes up in the middle of the night to find Angel praying with deep devotion. The next morning, he begins helping her gather food around the island. He climbs a tree and collects a large amount of fruits and vegetables. Then, realizing they need protein, he finds a turtle emerging from the sea and decides to hunt it. Angel insists on joining him to learn, and thanks to Elias's skill and strength, they safely reach the raft, catch the turtle, and return to the shore to cook and enjoy their meal peacefully. While eating, they discuss their fate. Angel reminds him that the island has everything needed for survival, and if no one comes to rescue them, they can live there in peace. She becomes curious about Elias's personal life, and he tells her that he is an orphan who grew up in an orphanage and had to face life on his own. Coincidentally, Angel also reveals that she is an orphan who was raised by nuns and that she has very strong faith and beliefs. Despite their many differences, Angel feels her soul is drawn to him, and over the days, they grow closer. One day, they suddenly hear the roar of Japanese warplanes and quickly seek shelter in a cave. Elias tries to comfort her despite his own fear. After the explosions subside, they discover that the church and the surrounding buildings have been completely destroyed, and Elias's raft is gone. All hope of leaving the island has vanished. Before they can even process what has happened, they see enemy soldiers returning to the island. They flee and hide quickly. Elias grabs his knife, ready to defend Angel at any cost. Luckily, the soldiers don't find them. But after a while, Angel becomes extremely weak from hunger and thirst. She suggests that Elias should escape while she surrenders, believing that the soldiers won't harm a nun. However, Elias knows they show no mercy and will kill her instantly. He completely refuses the idea and attempts to hunt for food without being seen. He catches a fish and brings it back to Angel, but she struggles to eat it because she hasn't eaten fish since becoming a nun. She tries to chew it out of desperation but can't, and falls asleep from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Elias ventures out again to gather food from the enemy camp, but when a soldier approaches, he is forced to hide behind food crates and remains trapped there until dawn. In the morning, Elias returns with food, but Angel wakes up to find him gone. She experiences a moment of panic, thinking he either ran away or was killed. When she goes out to search for him, she suddenly finds him standing in front of her. Her fear turns into anger, and she accuses him of risking his life without telling her. He promises not to do it again. The next day, Elias builds a wooden bed for her to make her happy. He tells her more about his life and expresses his wish to live a normal life and get married. Angel responds that she hasn't made a final decision yet and still has 5 years to think about it. Elias feels hopeful, and the two of them run and play joyfully around the island. Eventually, they find a large stock of supplies left behind by the soldiers, which saves them the effort of constantly searching for food. Suddenly, Elias confesses his love for her. He tells her that he fell in love with her at first sight and asks her to abandon the path of monastic life so they can get married and live together forever. But Angel becomes anxious and says that she wants to continue her religious path and help people. She doesn't want to give all that up for a man. Though heartbroken, Elias respects her decision and apologizes if his words hurt her. That night, while they're eating, Elias drinks a bottle of alcohol he had with him and loses consciousness. He begins harassing Angel and forces himself toward her, prompting her to flee into the rain. When he regains his senses, he feels deep regret and searches for her everywhere until he finds her asleep in the cold, exhausted. Suddenly, they hear the sound of enemy planes approaching and seek shelter in the cave once more. Angel's health deteriorates further, and Elias decides to save her by stealing blankets, food, and medicine from the soldiers' camp. However, a soldier spots him, and Elias is forced to stab him to death and hide the body. He returns to the cave and tends to Angel, praying for her recovery. The next day, Angel wakes up without remembering exactly what happened, but she thanks him for taking care of her. Elias apologizes for what he did under the influence of alcohol, but before he can finish, they hear gunfire and violent explosions. The soldiers have discovered their comrade's body and started bombing the island. Elias hears a voice calling on him to surrender, but Angel begins praying, asking God to get them out of this situation. Suddenly, the U.S. Army arrives on the island, and a fierce battle breaks out. When Elias sees his comrades in danger, he decides to help them by disabling the enemy's cannons. Despite Angel's fear, she helps him carry out the mission. After they succeed, Angel finds Elias wounded and bleeding. He tells her he is dying. She breaks down in tears and says that while they can't be together in this world, she loves him with all her heart and hopes they will be reunited in the afterlife. In the end, the U.S. Army regains control of the island and defeats the enemy. The soldiers are overjoyed to find Elias alive, as they had thought he died during the previous mission. As for Angel, she suggests that they remain friends forever, since marriage is not an option for them. And so, we reach the end of the film.